been a hell of a year, and as always, we're facing the classic new year, new me dilemma. This year, I really want to prioritise putting less pressure on ourselves to be goal-orientated and just earnestly enjoy the moment. We've teamed up with Hinge to inspire our friends and listeners to take a moment to reflect on their dating journey over this year and update their profiles with a clear vision for what they're looking for in 2025.
I love this idea. You could use the Hinge prompt, "This year I really want to do so." I would say something like, spend more time enjoying the moment instead of worrying about what's next. And I really want to make sure I'm having a laugh about it all too. Like, is it really that deep? Maybe the new year's the time to add some silliness to your Hinge profile.
Defo. It's probably worth bringing in a pop culture nod too, to show what you're interested in. Like that you have a wealth of romantic mood-dang memes readily available to send to a new love.
I know interacting with that kind of stuff has made me and Mav's relationship stay as silly as I like it. I think it's really important to begin the year with clear intentions of what you want to get out of your love life. I really believe putting what you want out into the world makes it all the more easier to receive it.
I totally agree. Make sure to use this time to reflect, reset, and refresh your Hinge profile accordingly to what you're looking for in 2025. We're excited to see all your refreshed profiles soon. Hi Gina.
Hi Ione. Hi everyone. I'm Gina, the senior editor of Polyester.
And I'm Ione, the founding editor-in-chief of Polyester. And this is the Polyester Podcast, a feminist pop culture podcast dissecting the discourse on a weekly basis.
Before we start, if you're a fan of this podcast, please make sure to like, rate, subscribe and review. And if you really love us, you can sign up for a podcast membership where you can join our WhatsApp chat, get access to our research each week, and get on our Instagram close friends for only £3 a month. We also now have a Substack called Non-Threatening Boys Asterix, where we'll be sharing exclusive content twice a month on the Boy of the Hour. Do we have any reviews, Ione?
We do. 5 stars, I love Mondays. Somehow they always manage to talk about things that have been floating around in the back of mine and my friends' brains. Only way I can keep up with pop culture since deleting TikTok. Love from Sweden. That's by Adele in Sweden.
Oh, thank you.
Very nice.
I'm glad to brighten up someone's Monday.
Hopefully more than one person.
If only Garfield had this podcast.
That's true. So, a few pieces of housekeeping. We have a new zine out tomorrow.
You're first to hear about it, guys.
Well, not really, because we've been teasing it for ages on socials.
Well.
What?
First time mentioning it on the episode, I guess.
So, go and get it tomorrow. Bronze and above members get free zines.
Keep an eye on your emails for that.
It's a very good cover star.
It's in crazy. It's crazy. Goes wild.
It's actually coming out on Wednesday, not Tuesday, but oh well. We move, and then finally, this will be our last episode of the year.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. What the fuck are you talking about?
Bye for the year.
Bye, we haven't even started the episode yet.
Yeah, but just to prepare you that these buys are coming. You don't like it?
No.
Okay.
Yes, so we are finishing up early because I'm very, very poorly.
I know.
So, yeah, sorry guys. That's just how it is.
It's like that. Anyway.
What?
You don't need to have any critical thinking during Christmas. That's the joy of the season.
I think that's very bad thing to say.
Well, it's out there now.
So, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about trinkets, charms, customisation, and Anik Anik girls.
So, I mean, I think we're leading with Anik Anik, right?
Okay, do you want to explain what it is, or shall I?
You can go ahead.
Yippee! Yippee! Okay, so Anik Anik is a Filipino term. It's not like directly translationable, but it basically means like trinkets, little bits of tat, like things that you've kept hold of that have sentimental value to you, but maybe wouldn't, like, on seeing them, it wouldn't have any sentimental value to someone else. So say like people who keep like all their train tickets from when they were like long distance with a partner, or anything from like a ceramic cat that you got at a charity shop with like your best mate, all these kind of little accoutrements is an Anik Anik, and it's really tied to sentimentality, and that's a huge part of Filipino culture. And in recent weeks, it's been translated into American culture and Western culture to just mean people who, like, an Anik Anik girly is someone who collects trinkets, charms, and then people are rightly saying that it's being appropriated because the language is being lost when it's translated into English.
Yeah, I think it's less the train ticket vibe. I mean, there's a few different things. So in the research, it's saying how there's like lots of different meanings to Anik Anik, or it's like more widely transferable in actual Filipino culture, but in the Western, in like on like TikTok basically and social media and like the fashion girlies, they're kind of translating it as like Sunny's Angels and bag charms and other blind boxes. I fucking hate blind boxes.
I'll just say that now.
I'm just getting out there. I think they're like literally foul.
I swear I've got to a blind box before.
You've never got me a blind box.
Did I not get you a Sanrio one?
No.
Oh, well, I'll write that down not to bother.
I think blind boxes is the worst thing because also, okay, so yeah, as we've mentioned, like there's an art core medium called Anik Anikism, a peek into Filipino nostalgia and maximalism by Pal DePano. And they're kind of talking about how cleaning their room has always like meant rediscovering all these things that they cared about. I'm sure it's something that like loads of people can relate to. Like you clean your room and you discover like a pair of earrings you'd forgotten about, or like something you got on a trip you'd forgotten about, something from like when you were a teenager that you forgot about, all of these types of things. And then I feel like blind box culture is basically just the opposite of that. Like it's kind of like consumerism at its worst, in that it's just like, oh, you just buy something for the sake of it and you don't even know what's in it and you might not like it.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with them if you're buying them as a collector, because you're trying to like fly through them to get all the different ones, whereas I think buying it just be like, have the surprise and be happy with whatever you get.
Yeah, but what if you get an ugly one?
Well, you buy a blind box, there's no ugly options.
No, the one time we did do this once actually, when we went to Brighton, and do you remember what are they called? Those like vending machines.
Oh, I don't know what they're called. The ones with the balls.
Yeah. And I got the ugliest one, and it's like, great, I've wasted fucking £8. Also, back in the day when you used to be able to do this, it was like 50p. So it didn't really matter that much if it was ugly. These are like £8 minimum. So if you get a fucking ugly one, then you've just sent plastic straight to landfill and it's ugly as fuck. Like, oh, it's so against like everything I believe in.
I like the surprise element, but I don't like the chance for ugliness.
I find it so infantilizing. Also, I'm saying this as someone that like generally likes kitsch and also really believes in the power of like imbuing objects with meaning. And yeah, like this Anik Anik culture, in my notes I wrote that like this is transferable across so many different cultures. Like obviously Anik Anik is specific to Filipino culture, but like Kieran Yates, my friend who wrote a book, she wrote about this very specific like tissue box that was in all her aunties' houses. And like kind of everyone, especially in working class culture and households, has that version of that. Like my mum's love language was definitely buying me like little pieces of shit when she was out and about. So I'm not saying none of the like that, you know, it's blanket bad to care about these small objects, because that's something I actually do really care about. But I feel like this blind box culture is just like trying to force feed that and gamify it, and none of it is nice. Like it's all so ugly.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it has been just fully co-opted by capitalism, like collecting things. Like whereas it used to be before, like you used to gather like loads of different shit from like all your different charity shop trips, or like you said, like stuff that your mum's given you over the years, and like that's how you'd form a collection. Whereas now it's like you buy a collection ready made. So like not just the blind bags, is that what they're called? Blind boxes. Blind boxes items, but people are also really angry about charm bundles on like Shein and stuff like that.
I actually really disagree with what you're saying there though, because I do think this has always existed. Like I just feel like this is the latest version of it. Like to collect, like as in if you are specifically trying to get a collection of the same things. Like yeah, obviously if you're like, I collect cats, and you have like 30 different cats that like have no discernible, you know, thing that groups them together apart from them being cats, then that's right in what you're saying. But I remember when I was like 8 or whatever, I've told you this before, that I used to collect those like the right shoe things. Do you remember them? Those like little ceramic shoes. And they were like, you bought them, like that's just the same thing as a blind box, but for like probably middle-aged women, and then me as an 8-year-old.
No, I that's what I'm saying. Like people are kicking off about this, but I also think it's a bit there's something about it that annoys me when people are like, well, this is the right way to collect and this is the way that I've been collecting for years, and like I'm so special because I've been such like a person who's like eclectic my whole life and da. Like it is a trend, but people can't just use the time and have the money to like spend their life collecting shit from around the globe.
From around the globe.
Or even like you said, like all the blind boxes stuff. Like if someone wants to join in on that trend, the only option they've got is like buying like a charm bundle from Primark. I understand that like, yeah, all capitalism's bad, like we shouldn't be doing that, but I think from an aesthetic point of view, like you can't just shit on someone because you've got your stuff from 4 shops and they've got theirs from 1.
Well, I think the problem is that I forgot what the problem is.
Also, I was thinking this, that when people collect bits of shit, and as long as they display it aesthetically, like in scrapbooking or like having like a memory box or whatever of like all the lovely bits of things that they've kept over the years, like that's seen as like, so like they're so charming and like one of those girls from films where like they change the man's life, like Manic Pixie Dream Girlish. But then you see people who are like deemed as hoarders because they're working class, and the way that they arrange these things that have sentimental value to them isn't in that way.
Well, I think this is part of the problem with like Anik Anik being Western, or being used as this like catch-all term for fashion girls having charms, because like there's a lot of stuff in the research that's basically like, oh, there's a difference between like having loads of shit in working class culture and in upper class culture, because in middle and upper class culture collecting is a hobby, whereas like if you're working class, like maybe you have to collect Tupperware or have to collect this. And part of me goes back to like the overconsumption thing, where it's like it feels a bit, what's it called? Like it feels a bit like it's not fetishizing, but it feels a bit like, oh, those poor working class people have to collect their Tupperware. It's like, I'm sorry, that is just good like economical sense, A. And B, also working class people do collect stuff for joy. Like you can't have it both ways, where you're saying that like only rich people buy blind boxes, but then also hate the mum that has the live, laugh, love sign. Like they're both the same thing. And I feel like exactly. Like I feel like both of our parents are people that like I feel like I hate the word collect as well. Plus it's so feminized, because like men collect shit all the fucking time, whether it's like swords or like Warhammer, which Alfie does, or like whatever, and no one's like, oh, they're contributing to the downfall of like the world and capitalism. Anyway, my thoughts are all over the place today because I'm delirious with the flu. But I feel like when we're talking about class divides in these conversations, we so often go to like utilitarianism, where it's like, oh, they have to do this though for like survival. And it's like, no, working class people also just like to have something that reminds them of like their friend or their mum, or like, I think I've spoken before on the podcast about how like I still have the first bottle of Chanel nail varnish that my mum got me like just after I was diagnosed, even though obviously it's dried up and like horrible. It's not just like rich people that are like hoarding things and doing this, like working class people do it too, and I'm not being like everyone should contribute to the destruction of the planet equally, but I feel like it's so boring to be like, well, you know, they have 100 pairs of shoelaces because they'll never be able to buy a pair of shoelaces again. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so patronizing.
Remember that like boot theory quote?
Yeah,
that's like a rich man will buy
Eden's
one.
absolute favourite.
You know, it's from like Neil Gaiman or something.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's just like went viral, triple platinum on Tumblr, but the one that's like, oh, a rich man will buy like a really expensive pair of boots and they'll last him 5 years, whereas a poor man has to buy a new pair of boots every year and it ends up costing him more, but he can only afford that at the time.
Like that is genuinely true, but we're not talking about boots, we're talking about like fucking Sonny's Angels.
Yeah.
It's just, it despairs. And then also I feel like there's a real misunderstanding of how like high fashion operates in these spaces, which we will get into after the break.
We're back.
I think it's interesting. So let's go to the fashion side of it, because a lot of this, I feel like mostly what we're seeing is these, whether it's like blind boxes or whether it's bag charms or whether it's whatever, people are showing off these things on the internet to like portray their identity, which kind of comes back to fashion, I guess. Like, I think it's the umbrella we're talking under, really, isn't it? And it's interesting because it seems like in terms of discussion around it, it's really blown up in the last few weeks, even though I feel like this is something we've been seeing happening since COVID. Like when a lot of people were at home and like maybe A, all they could do was like online shop, but B, had like more time to get a hobby or like crochet or whatever. But recently, like, a lot of articles have come out in the mainstream press about it. There was one by Amy Frankum on Vogue Business. There was one, like, a couple of other Medium ones, a couple of Substacks, like, lots of TikToks, basically, and lots of people kicking off. There's, like, a viral tweet, which was... There's this lady on TikTok who's selling white girl eater bags for $95, and I've never been more frustrated in my life. And it's basically just like a normal bag covered in badges, like a Coca-Cola one, and then like also got key rings on it. And then someone quote tweeted it, Count Dicula quote tweeted it. The commodification of punk signals that Gen Z is, unfortunately, more interested in aesthetics rather than truly engaging with the world around them. You're supposed to thrift your bag and gather pins by supporting local bands, art collectives, or making them yourselves. This is so bullshit.
Literally, shut the fuck up. When I read this woman's tweet, I was like, I'm going to lose my mind.
I feel like Gen Z are so self-loathing in this way that they, like, everyone is just like inter-attacking people about this on the internet, but no one has historical context or even just cares to like think or research something for a minute to know that they're not true. Like,
it's the fucking superiority complex of the internet again, where people want to be like, well, I got mine this way and that's the authentic way of doing this. Like, all of it's authentic. Like, if you want to try to look like a punk in 2024, no matter what way around the houses you're going about it, you're authentically seeking it out.
The idea,
like, compared to someone else.
And the idea of the commodification of punk is ridiculous, because punk was like always the commodity. Like, even if it was like anti, even if it was anarchist and like anti-government, it was commodity because it started with Vivienne Westwood, who was a clothing designer. And the Sex Pistols were made by Malcolm McLaren to sell Vivienne Westwood's clothes. Like, all of these things have always been, yes, you do commodify yourself, by nature, when you're putting a badge on your personhood that says something about who you are. That is the definition of commodifying yourself. You don't keep all your ideas just in your head, do you? You want to be able to express who you are. I literally remember, so I moved to school when I went from year 7 to year 8. And because I was really badly bullied, so I like really hated my school and like everything about myself, blah, 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 blah. So when I moved school, I was like, me and my mum went down to like the high street or whatever, and I bought a backpack, and then I went into town and I bought like a Nirvana badge, a Green Day badge,
classic.
Like all these patches. I don't think I'd ever listened to a fucking Nirvana song in my life, no offense. Like, I just wanted to be cool. Like, I knew what I wanted to be, and that was like me actualizing it.
Yeah, I think as a child and as a teenager and even now, like, we're desperate to express ourselves through our clothing, and the easiest way to do that is to add a badge onto what you're already wearing rather than like being able to afford, I don't know, like a whole fucking look that's punk.
This is just like the fashion girly version of men at shows being like, name 5 songs on a band t-shirt.
It's been like, well, I picked this up from like this really cool cafe downtown. Not everything needs to have a fucking story to it. Like, you have the same innate urge to express yourself as someone who doesn't have the ability to collect things in that way.
I don't even think it's just that. I think it's just that there's no difference between the two things. Like, you're both doing them for the exact same reason.
Exactly.
Like, one doesn't make it better than the other. Like, obviously you can get into the like meat of it, and one is better. Like, supporting independent businesses is better. Doing this is better, but you're all just like doing the exact same thing, and it's, of course, it looks fucking try hard if you have a bag with 30 badges on it, which I also did 2 years ago, by the way. Do you remember?
Did it? Oh yeah, with your Betty Boop one.
You remember when I was like, I'm just gonna cover a bag in Betty Boop pins?
Yeah, and I was like, let's go.
I'm not joking, I actually spearheaded this whole trend.
You did.
Remember?
Well, that's the thing.
I wrote this in the notes.
When stuff like this comes about, which is like both of us are being like, fuck all of you, like, you're all just being dicks about charms. Me and you are both like maximalists. We both love like customizing shit. Like, we both have like 10 charms on our phone. Like, we've been doing it for years.
Walking sound effects.
Literally. So I think that we are allowed to be the authority of saying, like, everyone's trying hard. Like, I hate this thing being like, they're not authentic. Like, what makes you more authentic into it than someone else? Because you know the law. You know the wrong fucking law about punk. You know fucking enough to shit on someone else.
Oh my god, it's so much more try hard as well to like, it goes back to what I was saying the other week. I can't even remember what episode it was about, like, earnestness. Like, it's so much more try hard to lovingly pick all of the things by hand that you want. And that's a good thing. Like, obviously we should encourage people being tryhards. than just being like, oh, I'll get that. Do you know what I mean?
But it's also just like, I think like a capability issue. Like when I was younger, like I had maybe like £6 and I'd rather spend that £6 on getting like 100 pack of badges from Amazon where I had like 20 of them than one
Amazon
badge.
did not exist when we were young.
No, I know, but I'm recontextualising myself in the now. Then heading down to the fucking vintage shop and getting half a badge.
And then my secondary point is, so in the Vogue business article, why did I say it like that?
In the Vogue business article.
Scouse only jumps out. There was like some quotes that were basically being like, oh, you know, it becomes a status thing as well, because if everyone has the same, like all the fashion girlies are walking around with the same like loathe bag charm, they're walking around with like the same Sandy Liang bag charm, and that's signaling like you're in the know for knowing that. That is always why these people have worn these things. Like, why are you wearing a badge that says Tory scum if you don't want people to know you're a leftist? Why are you wearing a badge that says a band name if you don't want people to know you like that band? That is like how it works. And then B, obviously there's a discussion about like the price point accessibility of high fashion creating trinkets. And I thought it was interesting how like the Vogue business article kind of outlined that like Trapova Loena did like a collaboration with Asics, I think it was, the shoe brand, that was actually unable to be put into production because it was like so like intricate and not foolhardy, is that the word?
It's like too fragile.
Yeah, like basically it can actually be worn in real life. But high fashion has always sold these lower price point things to sell them to a captive audience, which is mostly young people, to then buy their brand loyalty for later, basically. So then you buy like the bag charm and then in 10 years you can afford the coat, is the thinking. And you think, oh, well, they were there for me when I could afford the bag charm. Now what is ridiculous, in my opinion, is that like because of how the luxury market has gone, everything is so disgustingly expensive that those bag charms now, I think I saw that like, wait, let me Google it. I think I saw that like a Miu Miu bag charm was, yeah, here we are. Miu Miu leather cord and metal bag charm, £460.
It's a joke.
10 years ago, that would have been £40 and your £400 would have got you a pair of boots. Like, the luxury market has seen such a gross level of inflation that now no one can buy into it. Like, even if you really love fashion, I'm not saying, you know, that like high fashion needs to be utilitarian or accessible. Obviously it's not, and like it's not the hill I'm willing to die on. But it's like you're a fucking mug if you're spending £460 on this leather strap from Miu Miu.
Yeah, literally. And but there's also this,
like you're more of a mug than you are going on Primark.
And there's nothing different between you spending that on a bag charm than the like girlies having a Gucci belt.
Well, that,
you're doing the same thing.
100%, yeah. It's exactly the same as like all the Northern girlies having Gucci belt or having like the pair of sliders or whatever. It's just like the cool girl version.
They're like earrings. The like Prada headband.
Or like, yeah, the Vivienne Westwood earrings or like the orb necklace.
Which I have both.
Which is just like, yeah, exactly. Like it comes back down to like status symbolism, which is where... And also these things have always existed within this customization conversation. Like we're acting like it's new, but these are just things that we've always dealt with. Like when I was at school, it was like everyone had the fake Miss Selfridge Chanel bag, but even that was too expensive for some people, so you had the Primark one. Like it's always been like levels of accessibility, especially when we're talking about fashion and clothes. Basically, you should just do whatever you want.
There's also the like if you know thing about like customization as well, like getting like your Louis stuff like hand heat stamped and things like that. Like that's always existed.
Yeah. What, as in like you go in the shop and you can get it like monogrammed or whatever?
Yeah, or you can get like a stamp on like your fake Louis passport that's like fucking...
I think that's so ugly, in my opinion.
Whereas like, but like to try and be like, oh, well that's... Even in these conversations where you're like, yeah, but like I've monogrammed my like shoe myself to be with like a felt tip pen. It's like...
Oh my god, it's like cute. I'm so happy that you like spent the time doing something that is nice for you. But like, yeah, I guess it doesn't make you more of like...
You're all trying to do the same thing.
A savant than someone that spent money on buying it.
Like, I really do believe in the point of personalisation. I just hate the idea of using like your taste level as a reason to shit on someone else.
Also, it's just funny that like bag charms in particular... Also, it's so funny because I feel like there's such a false dichotomy here because everyone's being like, oh,
personalization. You're not punk if you like do it this way. You're not like an individual. You're not being self-expressive. And the girly that they're all copying is Jane Birkin, who was like an incredibly wealthy woman who literally has the most expensive bag in the world named after her.
Literally.
Like, this isn't about grassroots culture. This is about luxury items and luxury bags and things, stuff.
Yeah, it's just a reason to buy
Why
more
are we being
shit.
serious? Why are we being so serious about stuff?
Things and bits.
Things and bits. Just enjoy your things and enjoy your bits, and
Enjoy
don't
your
be a
lovely-
mug and spend £370 on a shrimp charm in classic leather skin for women from loathe.
Oh, that sounds nice.
No, it's actually ugly.
You know, I love a prawn.
No, it's really ugly.
I'll look it up after this.
Did you know shrimps and prawns are different?
Yeah, shrimps are smaller, aren't they? They're shrimpy.
I just learnt that. But then also, if you're... No.
Wait, I'm going to say something. I was watching Trixie Mattel video last night where she's unboxing loads of like kids' toys, and she's having the exact same issue as you. She's like, fuck blind boxes. Like, what's the fucking point? Why do you not want to know what you're getting? And then someone was like, well, kids did used to do this, but it used to be Pokemon cards. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, mind blown.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just goes back to Beanie Babies, and like everyone's trying to like have the next thing that's worth something, or that like it is really capitalistic, because yeah, you're like, oh, I want the rare blind box. I want this, which is like worth more than something else. And like we're all just trying to like do stock market, but with like beans.
Not beans.
Beans in the form of plastic shit.
No, with Labubu's.
I hate Labubus. They're so ugly. I'm like, I'm sorry, but if you're gonna start collecting this stuff, like, get some taste.
Labubu, I love you.
There's a precedent to be set.
Labubu, I love you so much.
No, they're so ugly. Have a Kewpie, like, have something that actually has charm.
All right, so
And
you're having a little
panache.
superiority complex over my fucking Labubu over here.
Yeah, because they're fuck ugly. Like, just don't choose something ugly. Do whatever you want, but just don't make it be ugly. That's my only rule. That is my only rule. Like, if you're going to put a stuffed animal on your bag as an adult, make it cute.
And then it's all kind of not just gone on from, I think there's like a tangential conversation to be had about junk journaling as well.
Oh yeah, this is so funny though. Someone told me about this the other week and I was like, what?
The Vogue article.
No, about junk journaling. Like, someone told me at dinner. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Junk journaling is what you were saying earlier, where it's like people getting their train tickets or their cinema tickets. Even though, can you even get a physical cinema ticket anymore?
You can at Peck and Plex.
You can at Peck and Plex, but it's a receipt, so that's not very hardy to keep.
Yeah, but that's why you glue it in the journal.
No. I will tell you when, I will tell you why. Because I kept a diary like all throughout being a teenager, which was this, yeah, like different shit, like gig tickets, cinema tickets. Me and Alfie used to go to cinema every week on Orange Wednesdays. The ink fades. So now their journals are just blank. Can you believe that?
You should have laminated it.
I'm not going to fucking laminate it. More plastic. But what I thought was interesting about...
Big laminate.
big laminated sheets of ugly shit.
No, I mean...
Kind of takes the charm away.
The big laminate industry is what was to blame for it all.
It's their time. What I thought was interesting is that, yeah, obviously this is something that we really grew up with, and we probably like still do to an extent, you with your memory box.
Oh, I got Mav onto that.
My wallet is like stuff full of hotel key cards as well. Like, I've just kept them for like the past 3 years for no reason. I know, but I'm like, oh, it's a nice memory, so I keep it. Yeah, but they're plastic now. They just print new ones all the time.
Yeah, and that's what's killing them.
That is what, you know what? We've all got our quirks.
Mine's Labubu.
Fuck Labubu. Literally, you won't care about Labubu in 6 months. Like, in 6 months, I'll ask you, what's a Labubu? You'd be like, oh, that ugly thing that my dog chews on at home because I hate it now. Anyway. But what I thought was
Cherry's not allowed stuffed animals, actually.
Shut
She
up.
rips them to shreds. Sorry, go
Let
on.
me get to my point. What I thought was interesting is that basically this has come around and been rebranded because journaling has undergone such a weird, like, what's productivity transformation over the last...
like gratitude journaling, manifestation journalism.
Yeah, there was a Vogue article that was like, this is what junk journaling is. And it was like, yeah, because, you know, I do my, like, the artist's way every morning, or I do my, like, manifestation journaling, I do this journaling, I do that journaling. Whereas to me, that's, like, never been what keeping a diary is. But it's interesting that in the last decade and, like, through girl boss feminism and all of this, what a journal/diary is has literally been transformed to the fact like to something that's unrecognisable.
But it's also just like scrapbooking as well.
No, I know, but that's what I mean. Like, now scrapbooking seems novel because we've spent the last decade like trying to do this diaries with a purpose thing.
Oh yeah, everyone just thinks what they're doing is original.
Oh, that's not even what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
I'm adding to the conversation. It's a podcast.
yeah, but okay, fine.
Fine, I guess. Should we let it go?
Sure.
Let it go? Should we leave it there?
Yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Gina, and thank you to everyone listening for the past year. Get a copy of the zine and we will be on socials as well.
Thank you, Ione, for joining me on this podcast for the past year. Merry Christmas to all who celebrate. Happy holidays to those who don't. Thank you, CM, for sound teching and Olivia for editing.
We will see you in January.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.